So hi everybody, this is Srikanth Yadav. So in this session we are going to see the subject and the concepts of data mining techniques. So in this subject we are going to see the various applications of data mining, uses of data mining, and various applications and algorithms that are going to be used in data mining are going to be covered in this syllabus. So this subject is going to be offered for third year second semester engineering students. Let's have a look at the concepts in detail. So in this unit number 1, we are going to see the basic concepts of data mining, like introduction to data mining, various applications of data mining, what are the various functionalities or data mining tasks are going to be applied in real-time applications, and what are the various data mining metrics, and how the database and data mining will differ with each other, and we will see the evaluation of data mining in detail. So these are the concepts are going to be covered in detail in this unit number 1. Now before going into the session, let's have a look at the learning objectives and learning outcomes of the syllabus. That means upon completion of the syllabus, what are the major learning objectives and learning outcomes of this unit. So here we are going to study the basics of data mining tasks which are going to be used in real-time applications, like various data mining tasks. That means what are the different types of applications, various domains where data mining is going to be used for analytical activity. And upon, we'll see what are the major issues which are related to the data mining. That means when we want to handle large amount of data, what are the issues that has to be considered. And next one, what are the various data mining metrics are going to be used in order to measure the performance of the data mining applications. When it comes to the learning outcomes of this unit R, we will have a complete information and comprehension of the data mining issues and the uses of data mining. And finally, the students are able to understand and apply various data mining functionalities on some sample data sets and real-time applications. Let's have a look at today's agenda. In this unit number 1, Introduction to Data Mining, we are going to cover the following concepts. They are the basic data mining task, data mining issues, various data mining metrics, and how the data mining and database are related to each other, and how the data mining has been evolved from the database. That are going to be covered in detail. Let's have a look at the today's agenda. So here we will see the basic definition of data mining, technically and theoretically we will discuss in detail, and how it is different from a database. That means how it is different from database. That also going to be covered in this information. And what are the various characteristics of data mining related to various algorithms are going to be covered in detail. And we will see one of the important concepts called data mining tasks or functionalities of data mining. That means what are the various data mining functionalities are going to be used in real-time application. And we will see the process of extracting knowledge in the form of KDD process. That means in how many ways we can extract the knowledge, or we can analyze the hidden patterns of the data in order to find out hidden insights of the data. So what are the various stages in KDD process? What are the various techniques are going to be applied are going to be discussed in detail. And we will see what are the different kinds of data which are available or which are going to be used in data mining applications are going to be discussed in detail. And we will see the evolution or development of data mining. That is, what are the various technological developments which are happened in data mining area we are going to observe in this concept, and what are the issues related to data mining are going to be discussed. And finally, we will see the data mining metrics as well as data mining from a database perspective. Okay. Now we will see the basic definition of a data mining. Data mining is often defined as finding hidden information in a large database. That means, look at the size here. Data mining is often defined as a finding hidden information in a large database. Alternatively, it has been called an exploratory data analysis mechanism and data driven discovery, or you can say deductive learning. Here we use some key points like extracting, or you can say hidden information in databases, or you can say large databases. Alternatively, we can also call this data mining as a exploratory data analysis. That means we want to explore the information and we want to derive some knowledge from that exploration. As well as we can also call it as data driven discovery. That means the input data whatever you are taking, from that input data we want to find out hidden information of the data, so that hidden information can be used as a knowledge either in decision making or decision taking. So these are the few technical keywords we are going to use in the defining of a data mining. Let's have a look on this data mining definition again. Data mining is often defined as a finding hidden information from large databases. Finding hidden information from large databases. So alternatively, we are also calling it as a exploratory data analysis mechanism, or you can say data driven discovery approach. Additional database. That means we are saying database or data mining we are using for finding hidden information from large databases. Now already we are having a database. Then what is new in this data mining, and how the data mining has been overcome the database? Now here the traditional database was developed, or the existing traditional databases are query driven approach database. That means we will have some standard database which has been stored in a location or in a machine. On that machine we are going to apply some user defined queries. Those queries are going to be evaluated and relevant answer is going to be retrieved as an output. So that means whatever traditional databases we are having, all are related to based on a database queries, and they will try to access the database using a well-defined query stated language. Like we can use SQL programming language, or we can also call it as structured query language. Using structured query language, we can write queries. Those queries are going to be evaluated and executed on a database. This is the general approach. Now, the output of the query consists of a data from a database. That means whatever output you are getting from the database, it already exists in the database itself, and some portion of the data relevant to the query is going to be displayed or returned as an output. That means whatever input data we are having in database, from that a portion of data is going to be generated as an output. So nothing new is going to be created here. Whatever data is existed, that is going to be taken and executed with the help of a query, and relevant information is going to be generated as an output. Let's have a look on this, how this query structure is going to be represented. That means how the data is going to be accessed in database access. Here we are having three modules here. That means we are having a system. Let us take it a user level or client level system which you are using to write the query, and we are writing a query with the help of a sequential programming language, or we will also call it as structured query language. The structured query language, with the help of structured query language, we are writing some queries, and these queries are going to be applied on a database, and the database extracts the query and analyzes the query, and it is going to be applied on the database, and it will try to retrieve the data relevant to the query, and it will generate as an output in the form of a result. That means we are writing queries at user level, and we are writing those queries with the help of any database management tool, and whatever queries we have written are going to be applied and executed in database which was already created. Let us take, this is the employee database we created earlier, and we want to retrieve all the employee names whose salary is greater than 50,000. So this is our intention. All employee details have been located in this employee table, and we want to retrieve the employee names whose salary is greater than 50k. Let us take, here we have written a simple query. which is already well known for you. Let us have a query here. Here I am writing a query called select employee name. So whatever naming convention we have used, that naming has to be given. Select employee name from employee database, employee base, where salary is greater than 50,000. So this is a simple query we have written here. What we want to display? We want to display all the list of employee names whose salary is greater than 50,000. That means whatever employee names it is going to be displayed are already existed in the database itself. So as a portion of the required subset of the data has been generated as a form of a result here. So here in this result tab we will get the information in this manner. That means all traditional databases will work in similar fashion only. All databases are purely developed based on query oriented approach. So we have to write the query is going to be evaluated and executed on the database, and it will return some results. Now we'll see how this is going to be used in data mining approach. That means data mining access of a database differs from this traditional access. So in traditional databases, we are using only query oriented approach, whereas in this, look at here. Here the query might not be well formed or precisely stated. Example, how to increase sales in a supermarket, where query is not stated precisely. Here the task is they want to increase the sales in a supermarket. So for this question, how can you write a query in a traditional database? Because related to sales you may have some information, but to increase the sales, nothing is not available in the traditional database or data which have been stored earlier. Now to do this, we have to use a data mining approach. Now how this data mining approach will perform the answer for this query? It will try to analyze the data, or it will try to analyze all the attributes of the relevant query, and they will try to explore the information in the form of a knowledge. Now we will see how the data is going to be accessed in data mining with some real-time examples here. Data access is usually different version from that of traditional operational database. Data have been cleansed and modified to a better support to the data mining process. That means here we are performing some additional data pre-processing activities or operations, like we are applying data cleansing operation. That means before storing data in a centralized location or in a server, it has to be free from some errors or impurities. Whatever impurities or errors or mismatched values or missing values are there, all are going to be eliminated by applying some cleansing techniques. The detailed information of cleansing activities, pre-processing activities will be discussed in unit number 2. And as well as we are applying some data modification techniques in the form of data transformation techniques or normalization techniques in order to store the data in a simplified and compatible manner. Now let us see this an example here. What type of output is going to be generated from data mining? The output of data mining query probably is not a subset of the table or database. That means, like in traditional databases, data mining will not retrieve or generate sub portion of the database or a table. Whatever result it is going to be generated, it will be in the form of analytical approach only. Instead, it is the output of some analysis of the contents of the database. That means by applying some data analytical approaches or data exploration techniques, it is going to be generates an relevant output. Let's have a look at a small example here. Extracting useful information like persons whose annual income is greater than 6 lakh. Let us take there are set of customers or people whose income value is greater than 6,000 are repaying complete loan amount, which is not subset of input data. That means we are having some loan related information. From that loan related information, we want to identify whether if any person or a customer whose salary is greater than 6 lakhs, whether they are going to pay the loan repayment on time or not. That means we want to find out some loan defaulters by applying some analytical activities, or you can say some by applying data mining approaches. Now think the same problem in traditional database. We are having the same data itself. Before giving a loan to any customer, can we make him as a defaulter? No, that is not acceptable. On giving a loan amount, we can't make or we can't mark the customer as a defaulter. He or she can become a defaulter only after completion of the sufficient amount of time. That means if they are paying repayment of the loan on time, we can say they are loyal customers to the bank. If they are not paying on time, we can say they may become a defaulter. Let us take, they forgot or the payment was delayed for 1 month. We can't say they are defaulters. If they are repeating the same activity, they can become defaulter. Now, we can't wait till they become a defaulter. We want to analyze by taking some attributes whether he or she is going to become a defaulter or not. Let us take, by taking, here we took annual income. Let us take, we can take one more attribute like whether he or she is a married or not, whether they are having own house or not, whether they are, what is the age of that customer. By seeing age, income, dependence, personal assets, we can come to a conclusion whether they will become a defaulter or not. So this is the way of analyzing the data using these type of tools. Next, what are the characteristics of data mining algorithm? That means whenever we want to apply a data mining algorithm in real-time applications, we are having various types of algorithms, but before applying any algorithm on real-time application, we have to make a conclusion that what type of algorithm that is required for the data. That means we can't apply all algorithms on all applications. So application oriented, data oriented, the algorithm is going to be changed. That means here we are having some characteristics have been given. There are 3 major characteristics. Based on these 3 characteristics only, we can decide or we can select the relevant algorithm of data mining. The first one is model. That means the purpose of the algorithm is to fit a model to the data. That means before applying any data mining algorithm, we have to prepare one model by taking some sample data as a training data, and we have to train that model, and we are going to apply that model on the relevant data where we want to test that algorithm. That means the foremost activity is we have to develop a model which suitably fits in a relevant data. Let us take, we want to apply some data mining algorithms related to the bank customers. Before applying the algorithms, here we have to create or we have to prepare one data model, or you can say data mining model. The next one, second characteristic is the preference. Here we have to select some criteria in order to execute the model. That means among existing values or attributes, what are the best suitable attributes which can be used to train the model. Let us take, here having employee database or employee details, or you can say customers information. Here we are going to take a customer contact number. By looking into a phone number, is it possible to identify a defaulter? No. Phone number or contact number is only for contact or communication purpose. By looking at the 10-digit phone number or 11-digit phone number, we can't come to a conclusion that he or she become a defaulter. That means here what are the preference criteria should be taken before applying a model. Next one, search. All algorithms require some techniques to search the data, because without analyzing or understanding the existing data, we can't prepare a model that is going to be used to explore the knowledge. So for that we require, or every algorithm is going to be used, or it requires some data searching techniques. So these are the three major characteristics which are mandatorily required for every data mining algorithm, like model, preference and search. And we will see what are the various data mining models. Just now we have seen model as one of the characteristic. So in this model characteristic, what are the different types of data mining models we can generate in real-time applications? So data mining models are broadly classified into two categories. It can be a predictive modeling or descriptive modeling, based on the activity or task or the type of operation that we want to apply. Two subcategories have been formed. They are predictive modeling and descriptive modeling. Under predictive modeling, we are having various data mining techniques have been proposed. Here we are going to see some of the commonly used approaches. They are, we can use predictive modeling for data classification, we can use it for data prediction, or we can also use to analyze time series data. That means whenever we are expecting or predicting something, those relevant applications can be applied by using a predictive. Here we want to see some predicted results. Let us check. We want to see the what will be the next rainfall date, or what is the next cyclone occurrence of time or date, so that we can alert the people. So here we want to predict the accurate results. So whenever we are trying to predict something, we can apply predictive approaches. And second type of data mining techniques are descriptive. In this descriptive approach, here we are not trying to predict something, we want to extract some information in a summarized manner. Like we want to analyze association rules in shopping applications. How can we apply the clustering techniques in order to extract the knowledge, and what are the advantages of summarization? So each and every technique is going to be discussed in detail. Let's have a look on this. What is a predictive modeling here? A predictive model makes a prediction about the values of data using known results. Just concentrate here. Here we are trying to predict something. A predictive model makes a prediction about the values of data using some known results found from different data. Predictive modeling may be made based on the use of other historical data. That means we are understanding or trying to understand the existing data. In that understanding process, we want to extract some information, and that information is going to be used in prediction. Let's have a look on this one of the example. Predict the credit risk, or I can say predict the credit card risk. How can you predict a credit card risk? That means, let us take there is a customer called XYZ. He or she is performing a credit card transactions in every month. For our convenience, we will take one generalized example. Every month, the first week of every month, he or she is performing some transactions. So let us take he or she is using credit card on an average 10,000 to 12,000 rupees for shopping from January to December. That means the average range of shopping varies from 10,000 rupees to 12,000 rupees. It is in a normal case. Let us take one abnormal case. In the month of November, the shopping amount was suddenly increased to 1 lakh rupees. Because the regular pattern of purchase is only 10,000 to 12,000, but all of a sudden the purchase amount was increased to 1 lakh rupees in the month of November. Now in this case, what can be the reason? The reasons can be of two types. Really the customer has done his own credit card for his purchase. So there is no misuse or any outlier. Another case, the card has been misused. That means his or her credit card has been stolen and they done some misuse of that credit card. So in this case, the customer care people or the relevant people who has been issued the card, they'll alert the customer either by sending a message or by making a phone call, because the regular pattern has been deviated in the month of November. So this is the way of analyzing. Now, how can we came to know that misleading was happening in the month of November? Because already we are having the credit history of that person from starting from January to December. So from the existing data, that is known results. Here known results are January to December transaction history. And what we are trying to predict, why this was happened in the month of November. That means they have to alert the customer. So this is the way of applying a predictive approach. So predictive models mining tasks include classification of the data, regression, time series analysis and prediction. And other type of data mining model is descriptive modeling. That is, here we are not going to predict anything, we want to summarize. A predictive model identifies patterns or relationships in the data. That means what are the existing relationships among the data elements and what are the hidden patterns of the data. Unlike the predictive model, the descriptive model serves as a way to explore the properties of the data examined. That means whatever properties have been seen or observed, they want to explore it, because here they are not going to predict anything. That means nothing new is going to be predicted here, not to predict new property. They don't want to predict any new property, but they want to analyze the existing data and they want to explore the existing data in order to find the best hidden patterns of the data. Now, the techniques which will fall under this category are clustering, summarization, association analysis and sequence discovery. These are the commonly used approaches in descriptive modeling. So here we have seen what are the different types of descriptive modeling approaches. We have seen predictive modeling and descriptive modeling. In these two categories, we will see the detailed information about various types of predictive and descriptive approaches. The first and foremost technique is classification. So this is commonly used approach in various real-time applications. So we'll see broadly what is classification, then we'll move with an example. Classification maps data into predefined groups of classes. That means, look at here. Here we are going to apply a function called map approach. Data into predefined groups of classes. It is often referred to as supervised learning because the classes are determined before examining the data. Here we use a word called supervised learning. Now what is a supervised learning? Here we are applying our input to the known output itself. Let us take, we want to put a gender for a person, and list of gender values are already known for us, like male, female and transgender. Based on the input value, we can assign any one of the value, or we want to assign like we are having some vegetables and fruits. If any item came into input, based on that property or by seeing its structure or color, size and hardness, we have to make a conclusion whether it is a fruit or a vegetable or not. So here already output is known for us. So when the output is already known and we are applying a known output as an output, then that is called as a classification, or you can say supervised learning. We are mapping an input to the already known outputs. Now here, look at here, determining whether to sanction loan to a person. Here we want to predict whether we can sanction a loan to a person or not. Let us take on what basis we can sanction a loan. Generally based on income. This is the first and foremost criteria. Let us take if any person's salary is less than like 30k, they won't issue any loan. If salary is greater than 30k, they may issue a loan. So here their predefined value is there. By seeing the employee or customer salary, they can say whether the loan is going to be sanctioned or not. And in addition to income, they may put some other criteria also like age of the customer, age of the person, whether we can issue a loan or not. Let us take person age is 70 years and his income is 30k. So they won't issue based on their rules and regulations. So here already we know the output for a input value, and whatever input best suits in that output is going to be applied. This is called classification. Now we'll see what are the other inbuilt activities that we can perform in classification. One more important operation we can apply in classification is pattern recognition. So in this pattern recognition, it is a type of classification where an input pattern is classified into one of the served classes based on the similarity to the predefined classes. That means pattern recognition is also called as a classification, but it is have been mentioning as a separate activity. What is happening here also? It classified into one of the several classes based on its similarity. Now look at here. We will see one best example for pattern recognition. An airport security screening station. That means there is a screening station. They will screen each and every passenger and they want to find out whether they are the normal passengers or any intruder enter into the airport premises. Now what they want to do or what they want to explore using this security screening, they want to explore the potential terrorists or criminals. They want to catch these type of people. Now how they can identify? Because we can't check personally, individually. That is a normal issue. Now here we want to apply some data mining techniques to identify whether he is a normal passenger or any category related to criminal or terrorist. Now how can we do? Here each and every passenger is scanned and with its basic patterns. Like here we are applying some basic patterns like distance between eyes, size and shape of the mouth, shape of the head. Here we are taking some facial expression related features like distance between both the eyes, size and shape of the mouth, shape of the head. Now what is the use of these three values like distance between eyes, shape of the mouth, shape of the head? What is the use of these three properties? Using such properties, we are going to compare the images of the passengers from the existing database, because already we will have some past information related to the criminals or terrorists and their various images have been stored in the database, and each and every passenger is going to be scanned with these three properties are going to be compared with the existing images in the database. If any match found, we can declare him as an offender. This is the way to implement a classification in real-time applications. So what we are doing here, we took a pattern like distance between the eyes, shape of the mouth, shape of the head, and we are applying all these properties and we are searching from the existing database to find out whether he is a normal person or a intruder. So this is one of the real-time application we can apply in database applications. Another type of predictive modeling is regression. Regression is used to map the data item into a real valued prediction variable. Real valued prediction variable. Regression assumes that the target data fit into some known type of function. Here, to analyze the flow of data, here we are using some predefined mathematical approaches like logistic regression, linear regression or multi-valued regression techniques are going to be applied. Now, what is the use of these techniques? These techniques are used to determine the best function of this type to model the given data. Now, let us take, we want to predict the house price. Here we are comparing two different houses. If the two houses are the same, there is no need of the comparison or prediction. Let us take, here the customer A want to purchase a house. He met a consultant or a real estate broker. Now he displayed or he given information related to two houses. Let us have, here we are having two houses. Let us take both houses are having same size, like this house also is of 1500 SFT and it is also 1500 SFT. That means size of the construction is same. And now they are telling the house is, here it is 30 lakh rupees and it is 40 lakh rupees. Look at here. Here both houses have been built on a size of 1500 SFT square feet. Here the first house's cost is 30 lakh, second house cost is 40 lakh. What is the use? What is meant by the variation of 10 lakhs in between both the houses? So this we want to predict what additionally they are giving compared to the first house. So here by giving some predefined values or known values, we want to predict the house price. So this is also one of the real-time application where we can use classification in predicting the house price. Another type of application is time series analysis. Now here there are some real-time applications where the values of the data will vary based on the time. The best example is the share market. So whenever we want to predict the share price of a particular company, and the share value of the company will vary based on the time only. So this is one of the example for time series analysis. So with the time series analysis, the value of an attribute is examined as it varies over the time. By seeing the past 10 days or 10 days statistics of a particular company's share value, we are going to predict whether to buy or to sold it. So this is the one of the example that we can use a real-time share market application with the help of data mining techniques. Now look at here. So when we are applying a time series analysis, the time series analysis is built up with three basic functionalities or properties. That is, first we are going to apply the distance measure. That means whenever we are comparing a product or a share related values, identify the similarity between the products by applying a distance measure. So in distance measure, it is used to determine the similarity between two different time series. That means on a particular day and time, what is its current value and what is the past value, what is the variation. So this is the distance measure. And next one is the structure of the line is examined to determine the behavior. That means after plotting all these values of past 10 years or 10 points related information, we want to come to a conclusion to understand the behavior of the data. And we can also use the historical time series plots to predict the future values. Here we want to plot all the values in a time series analysis, or by using any plotting approaches, we want to make a conclusion what is going to be the future value by taking the historical values as an input. So these are the three analytical operations or functions are going to be applied as a part of time series analysis. Finding the distance measure, or that means finding the similarity by using distance measure approach. Structure of the line is going to be analyzed and take the help of historical data to measure the future values. Now, one more application of predictive modeling or type of predictive modeling is the prediction. The name itself indicates that we are going to predict something. Now, what is the difference between numeric regression and prediction? Regression will work only for numerical data. When our input data is completely numeric or integer related value, we can apply regression. For all types of data, we can apply prediction. So prediction, many real world data mining applications can be seen as a predicting future data states based on the past and current data, like predicting the sales of a company in next year, predicting the profits or expecting the profits of a bank or a company by forecasting future. That means how can we came to know what is, it can be an estimated value. We are not saying it is going to generate an accurate value, but it can estimate something. How it is going to be estimated? By taking past data as well as current data. Here we can take past data as well as current data as a combination of input. We want to predict what is going to be generated in future. So prediction applications include flooding, speech recognition, machine learning techniques, time series analysis and pattern recognition. Example, predicting, can we play match based on the weather conditions like rainfall condition, humidity, dew in the court, all these going to be taken into consideration to predict whether the conditions are suitable for playing or not. So these are the applications of predictions in real time. Next we are moving into another category called descriptive modeling. Till now we have seen classification, regression, time series analysis and prediction as a part of predictive analysis. Now under descriptive analysis we are having clustering. That means clustering is similar to classification except that the groups are not predefined. In classification we are mapping an input to the output which is already known. But whereas in clustering we are making groups but we don't know, we are not having any predefined groups. By taking various conditions and constraints we want to form the subgroups of the data. Like, now what we are going to do with the clustering is alternative referred to as unsupervised learning. In supervised learning output is already known for us, whereas unsupervised approach output is unknown for us. Here we have to create our own output based on the input and based on the requirement, and whatever groups have been formed we are calling it as a cluster. Like based on academic percentage we want to group the people, like the students who are having GPA value from 10.2 9.0, we will make one group, 9.2 8.1 group. We don't know how many members will fall in that group. We can't assure that every group will have a similar number of students or candidates. So this is one way. So based on that we can group the customers or the students or products. Now look at here, grouping apples and bananas based on color, size and shape. If you look at the size and color and shape of apple and banana are contrast to each other. Now how can we separate? Here we took some properties like color of the fruit, size of the fruit and shape of the fruit, or we can also add some more parameters like hardness of the fruit. Now in this clustering we are having one more variation that is called segmentation. A special type of clustering is called segmentation. With segmentation, a database is partitioned into disjoint groups of similar tuples. Disjoint group of similar tuples called segmentation. Segmentation often viewed as a identical to clustering only. But here what we are doing here, we are partitioning the database into various disjoint groups, not based on a condition. Here we want to partition into disjoint groups. This is called the segmentation. But whereas in clustering, we are dividing or grouping the elements into a cluster based on a predefined conditions. Now another type of descriptive modeling is summarization. Now summarization maps data into subsets with associated simple description. Summarization is also called as data characterization or generalization. We'll see what is characterization and generalization. This may be accomplished by actually retrieving portions of the data, alternatively summary type of the information, like from a PDF document we want to generate a summary. Let us take we are having a 20-page PDF article, a research article, when we want to generate a summary from that. That is called summarizing a chapter in a textbook, report generation of a semester result. So results are came and we want to generate a report based on the results. This is called the summarizing the data. If original data is not available, there is no question of a summarization. So this is one of the example of descriptive modeling. And another type of descriptive approach or descriptive modeling is association analysis. In association analysis or association rules, what we are going to apply? We want to find out the relationship between the customers and the products. Or we can say we are going to analyze the customer behavioral pattern or customer pattern shopping analysis. Look at here. A market basket analysis. This is commonly used approach in retail business. Market basket analysis. It is used to identify the customer purchasing behavior. Let us take, here we are recording the customer details and information. Here we want to analyze what are the shopping sequence of the customer, what are the visiting hours, what are the weekdays, on what day he or she is coming to the shopping, what is the frequency of shopping, what are the regular products which they are purchasing. Based on that, they want to come to a conclusion and they want to review the customer to improve their business. Here what we are doing, here we want to analyze customer purchasing behavior. So this is the one of the approach we can derive the customer behavior with the help of association rules or association mining. And another type of descriptive modeling is sequential analysis or sequential discovery. It is used to determine sequential patterns in the data. That means, look at here, most people who purchases CD player may be found to purchase CDs within a week. So this is the exploratory analysis. Whoever the customer purchased the CD players within a week, all those customers have purchased some CDs. So here this is the analysis they found based on the sequential data. Now what is the sequence here? Here they are having list of customers who purchased the CD player, and again they are having one more list, the customers who purchased CDs, and they are comparing both the values and they are trying to compare, they are trying to match the both values in the two different transactional history. So this is the way of identifying, analyzing the data. This is called sequential analysis. And one more approach related to data mining task is characterization and discrimination. Now what is the characterization means here? Summarizing the characteristics of a student who has obtained more than 75% in every semester. The result could be general profile of the student. Here we are having every semester result of a student, and finally we want to come to a conclusion what he can achieve in upcoming semesters. summarizing the characteristics of a student who has obtained more than 75% in every semester. The result could be a general profile of the student. This indicates summarization of data of the class is called data characterization. Now, what is data discrimination here? Here we are comparing one value with another. Comparison of the target class with comparative classes. The general features of a student with high GPA may compare with the general features of a student with low GPA. Here we divided the students into two groups, like high GPA group and low GPA group, and we are comparing the features of both categories students. So when we are comparing a value, a target value with a comparative class, it called as a data discrimination. Let us take, we are having last year sales information and current year sales information. We are comparing what is the difference or how much profit has been gained or whether it was resulted as a losses. We want to compare last year sales information and present year sales information of a company. This is the way of discrimination. Now, till now we have seen the concepts like types of modeling used in data mining, like predictive modeling and descriptive modeling. Under predictive modeling, we have seen classification, prediction, regression and time series analysis. Under descriptive modeling, we have seen association analysis, sequential analysis, summarization, the data discrimination and data characterization. Now we are moving into one of the major concept called KDD process. KDD stands for knowledge discovery from large databases. That means whenever we are having a large amount of data, how can we extract the knowledge? Whatever knowledge we are extracting will be generated at the final stage. But before getting the knowledge, what are the required techniques are going to be applied in order to achieve the knowledge? So knowledge discovery in a database, in simple form we are calling it as a KDD. Data mining are often used interchangeably. In fact, there have been many names are there, so we don't bother about here. Commonly we will call it as a KDD, or you can say knowledge discovery. So KDD is the process of finding useful information and patterns in the data. Here we want to find out useful information of the data and we want to derive the patterns of the data. Now here data is not in a smaller scale, it is in a larger scale. So data mining is the use of algorithms to extract the information and patterns derived by the KDD process. Now you will see this overall KDD process in a diagrammatic approach. Just give an attention on this diagram. So here this is the input we are giving as a data. Just look at on this output. Here we are getting some evaluation, or you can say knowledge. But in between input and output, we have applied some approaches. We will see all those approaches in detail. First one, look at here. Here we collected a data which has been stored in a larger scale. From this large scale data, we are applying a technique called data selection. That means whatever data is going to be used for the analytical activity, that data is going to be selected. Or we can say we are collecting data from various locations. Related to a particular company, we are collecting sales data, marketing data, financial data, R&D data. All data are being stored in a single location, and we want to use all these data elements or data sources for analytical activity. Now look at here. Here we collected or selected the data. This is our target data. A portion of the original data has been selected as a target data. And on the target data, we are going to apply some data pre-processing operations. That means whether we have to check whether the data is having any impurities or not. Let us take some information is missing, like in employee data, some records or some fields are found empty. Now how can we deal that missing value? And we found some abnormal values, like unacceptable values are there. How can we handle? And there are mismatched values. That means some inconsistent values are there. Now how can we handle those inconsistent values? So to handle all such type of impurities, what are the techniques are going to be applied in pre-processing will be seen in coming slides. Now here, after applying pre-processing, we got a pre-processor data. That means it's a purified data. Now on this purified data, if required, we are going to apply some data transformation techniques. Here we want to convert the form of the data and format of the data for our convenience. Now in this transformation, we will see various types of data transformation techniques and data normalization techniques. So here we got some transformed data. Now on this transformed data, we are going to apply the required data mining algorithm to understand and to analyze the data. That means on this data, either we can apply a predictive modeling or descriptive modeling. We can apply a predictive modeling or descriptive modeling. Let us take, we can apply either a classification or we can apply a clustering. That is up to you. Now on this transformed data, we are applying some data mining approaches. Now as a result of the data mining algorithm, we will get some patterns. That means the output is in the form of a graphical information. Let us take, it is generated an histogram. Now we can analyze this histogram effectively and we can come to a conclusion and we can extract some information that we can call it as a knowledge. So from an input to extract knowledge, these are the various techniques or phases we are going to apply on the data. Then only finally we can came to know what is the hidden patterns of the data and what is the knowledge which have been derived by applying all these phases. So initially we applied data selection and we formed a target data. On target data we applied some data pre-processing techniques and we created purified data in the form of pre-processor data. On the pre-processor data, the required data transformation and normalization techniques have been applied and we form one transformed data. On this transformed data, we can apply either predictive modeling or descriptive modeling as an algorithm of data mining, and the output of the algorithm or output of that phase has been derived in the form of a pattern, or you can say a visualized information has been given, and this can be evaluated to extract the knowledge. So this process is called as a KDD process, knowledge discovery from large databases. So with this we can close this session and remaining topics will be covered in the next session. Thank you.